Hello everyone, welcome to this week's lap guide tutorial. This is for week 7 for the GT3 sprint series around Magny-Cours. This week we'll be using the Corvette for the lap reference. So let's have a look around. So Magny-Cours, got a nice run to turn 1, very key you use all the road here on the outside. People forget you can't just run all the way out here. T1 should be flat out completely. You want to turn in just where the orange part of this wall is, where the lights are. Right wheels should just be following this white line pretty much. Just guide it in nicely. Flat out on the way in. Cut over the left hand side curb here. Flat out still. Aiming for this left curb again. As soon as you're over this curb, now you want to brake. So the car does like a little bounce or jump over the first one here, and a little bounce over the second one. As soon as you've done this little compression there, brake. So you're braking in a nice straight line. Kind of faintly see this line here. It's kind of a nice little point. But as soon as you're off the curbs, right, you're going to brake in a nice straight line. You're aiming to drive it all the way out to the outside to really V the corner off to get a maximum exit onto the back straight, up to the hairpin. But you want to just brake, nice straight, 50%, bring it nice and tight to the inside line here. Bit of steering, now you're coming off the brake a bit, down one gear. You let the car just naturally run out wide here, aiming to cross over like this pit lane line here, where this blue line is. Dip a wheel here, down to third. Left wheel's right up on the outside here. If I go to chase, you'll see. Using all the road. You can get away with being here, but if you're really tight here, you can imagine you're going to be really slow on the exit because you scrubbed a lot of speed off, slowed the car down too much, and when you're trying it on power, it's just going to be terrible on the exit. Out here, with this, you can really arc it off and veer it off, then get a huge run because you're 100% power in it straight away. But the key is to be nice and wide here on the outside. No, unfortunately, there's no give it or take place where you want to get on the power. You just got to naturally feel it, unfortunately, this week. So once you're fully out here, I would say, bring in 100% power. You should also, the best way you'll be able to tell this week is if you're 100% power and you can keep that all the way through the corner. So you get nice and close to this green Astro again. Little dip of it. Run it all the way out wide. If you're not in the gravel out here or you're not having to lift, it's pretty much spot on. You should be 100% power all the way through the corner. Run all the way out. This gives you a huge, nice run down the straight. You can imagine if you're lifting off or running wide there, you leave yourself very vulnerable to people to overtake you into the hairpin. Given how tricky this track is, one to follow but also overtake, if you're messing up turn 3, you leave yourself so vulnerable for that one major dive bomb place on the track. So now we've got a nice run up to the hairpin. Markings here on the outside, so I'll bring your attention to you've got these white lines. The boards are quite far out, so you want to be using the white lines here to get your reference. You got one here, and then another one here. So missed the one at the 200 board, the 100 board one here. So from the 100 board here, you're going to be braking pretty aggressive, but don't smash the brakes at 100% brake. Sorry, if you're 100% brake on the way in, yes, it might have slowed the car down. The problem is you then overwork the fronts, and then when you go into the next sector, in the high-speed sectors especially, you won't have that initial front bite because you've used a little bit too much front. You've overworked them. You've got to keep that brake pressure about maximum 90% into it, I would say. Just keeps you out of the ABS. You're not hurting the tyres too much, and you can do that every lap then. Qualifying, yes, you could probably go in a little bit later. Qualifying, you could probably go in at the line here at the 100 board and get away with it. But realistically, in the racing, you want to be lifting off and coasting a little bit, then braking about 70-80% into the corner. Very key, braking a nice straight line up on the outside curb to maximise it because how tight this is on the apex here. That you can put a lot of steering lock on now. You see, slow it all the way down. If I go chase now, you can use this inside curb. I have seen people use it, cut over it. Here's driver preference. Tom on this lap, for instance, just goes around it, which is absolutely fine. Slows it down, gets nice and close. But as soon as your car compresses into the dip of the hairpin, from now you want to be on the 100% throttle. You see, you get no slip, run it all the way out wide. Just be a bit wary of the gravel, but use all the road on the exit. Very crucial. You don't get an off track, so use it all to maximise the exit. So you can go in a bit more aggressive, V the corner off, get on the power more, run it out wide, and there you go. You don't lose too much lap time. Into the fast sectors of the lap now, this is all the high speed stuff. So into this first chicane, very crucial. You see Tom's very aggressive and already points the car to get over to his runoff on the outside. You want to use all this runoff on the outside here just to maximise the entry. If you're here, this is super tight, you run the risk of every lap hitting the sausage curb, which you can get away with, but it can give you a slowdown on the way in sometimes, so you've got to be a bit careful of that. But here you use all the road on the outside, 50 board, and this line is perfect for your reference. As soon as you're on this, brake, slowly release the brake when you come off the curb. Now you coast in a little bit initially, and then just before you get to the curb now, bring the power in. You see Tom, there's like a little build up to like 20%, 30% in, and then as soon as you get to the curb, 100% as he hits over the curb. Very crucial not to go on the actual sausage curb itself, just on the red and white, right on the lip of the sausage curb. 20% throttle, fully cut the left here. Very, very key. You use a lot of this on the way in. It just gives the car a lot of rotation for free. You don't have to put a lot of steering lock on. If you're driving around this, you've got to put an extra 10-15 degree steering lock on, which again, you're just going to be leaning on the fronts. And last thing you want to do here is burn the fronts out. It's very easy to do with high speed sections here. So very key, use all this curve just to help rotate the car for free. Which is, again, you see your right wheels should just be on the white line the whole time. Left wheels fully into the Astro. From here, run it all the way out wide. Just dip your right wheels just over the curb. Very key thing here is, when we come into the braking, don't brake with your right wheels on like the ridged part here. That will then just cause the car to instantly want to over-rotate and snap on the way into the corner. So very key, you have your right wheels just over the curb for when you're braking, and then when you bring it back over the curb, it's absolutely fine. But you want to lift off now, brake quite soft, like 40-50%. You want to like just follow this curb as like you're turning in. Just like slowly roll it off into the middle of the track, slowly bringing it over to the inside. Car should be like central with this like line here. You won't be able to see this when you're actually driving, it's quite hard to see, but normally if you want to look back, your car should be pretty much central with this line. You want to initially miss the curb here, like this like bit of green here. Just let the car go into the middle of the track a bit, slow it down, and then bring it back. If you're super tight to the curb here, you run the car too far wide on the exit when you're on power. It just naturally understeers on the exit here. So if you can V it off more, it's going to keep it a bit tight on the exit, it gives you a bit more grip. If you run it in tight, you can get away with it maybe in qualifying, just to carry a little bit of speed in, but you will understeer more on the exit. That is a given. So it's very key here. Bring the power in. From here, build it up 100% on the exit. Be a bit wary here, the car can move around like Tom does here. The car does get a bit loose on the exit, but just run it over the curb on the outside. You see the car bounce a little bit. Be a bit careful of this. You can hit this a few times too many, and it will just blow the engine up for some reason around here. So just be a bit careful of that. And so inside this next like fast chicane, again you've got this nice like white lines here on the inside, on the outside. Sorry, you've got one here and one here. Aiming for the second one. Shooting at this one, pretty aggressive on the braking, like 40-50% brake jab into here for quite a high speed corner. Turning quite early, down one gear as you go over the crest, so then you apex onto the curb. Up on the curb, as soon as you're on the curb, get that power back on, about 90-100% initially, then a little bleed off, because very, very key, similar to the previous chicane, you cut over this left fully. Fully cut over it, your right wheel's just touching the line here, so to maximise it, any more than this you will get the slowdown. Very crucial, you keep your right wheels just on that white line. Fully cut over it, bring the power back in, just you cut back over a track. But the biggest key from here, again you got this like faint line. If you're fully out here, one, you've gone in a bit too aggressive, you've run it out wide, you're going to lose a bit of time because you travel more distance. But also, then trying to bring it back from here to here is such a pain, because then you've got to brake with steering on, and you're braking across the track instead of a straight line, which at the apex here can be quite costly, because you can lose a lot of time, you lose a lot of downforce on the way in. So you've got to make sure you got the car in a nice straight line here in the braking. Braking, nice straight line. Use all the road on the outside, pretty aggressive on the brakes, like 90% on the way in. Slow release it once you get up on the curb. Again, you can use this curb a little bit, but you will bounce a little bit too far wide on the exit. You will use more runoff. So it is a preference thing. Like Tom does this pretty nicely, where you just go around the curb, bring the power in, 100%, let the car just run out. It's similar to turn, I think it was like the exit of the Hairpin. If you're in the gravel here on the outside, you've just got the power too aggressive. You just got to be nice and patient here. Let the car run out. Nothing more than this. Again, similar to the chicane, like the first fast chicane in the middle sector. If you're on the power, like building power up, and you're on this like ridge part, the car will move around a little bit. If someone with a 3D curves around this track, it does do that, so just be a bit wary of this. It can just catch you up by surprise if you're middle of the race and you run out wide here. So be a bit careful about. We're up into the final 2 corners of the lap. Keep it nice and tight to the white line. Second to last corner, braking 100 board here. Pretty aggressive as it's downhill. You want to maximise braking to here. Right up against the white line. Turning in where this marshal is. Down to second. Big release of the brakes, but you want to carry like 10% in initially. Miss the curb a little bit. Bring the power in once you're around the first curb. But very crucial, run it all the way out wide here. As soon as you're like crossing over this like, so you got the red and white here, then you got like this like white and green bit here, the extra bit. As soon as your front bumper crosses over this, so now, start lifting off to like 20%. You want a little bit of power on. This is like one of the corners I would say you can get away with like double pedaling, which means you can use both pedals at the same time. You can get away with a bit of throttle. You've got to carry a little bit of throttle into it just to keep the speed up, but also use a little bit of brake just to rotate the front end in for you. So you're going to be back across before the exit of this runoff here. You're aiming for where my cursor is. So you're aiming to cut over this part and then cut the full over the left. If you're using the sausage on the inside, 1, it bounces too much, and 2, I'm pretty sure it gives you a slowdown on off track now. So it's very crucial you don't just fully yeet over the orange here on the inside. So what you're going to do is 100% throttle up onto the curb. So you hit the curb here. So I get to chase. So your wheels are on the white part of the curb here, just about over the orange as well. So it's like you're not fully committing over the orange, you're just doing a little kiss on the curb here. 100% throttle. Bounce, lands, keep the same gear. No point doing a shift here, keep it in third. As soon as you're on this left one, this one's a bit easier. As long as you hit this one correctly every time, the left is pretty easy. Normally the car will spin on the left curb if you hit the right curb, if you hit the sausage curb here, and the car lands and like bottoms out too much and then nosedives onto the second curb normally is what happens. So, use the first bit, land, cut over left, I got chase here again to show. Right wheel's just on the flat part, left wheel's fully over the AstroTurf on the top. And as it lands, the car will get this little wobble when it lands. That's just what happens when you're just completely cutting over a chicane. So don't worry about it too much. You got a lot of runoff here on the outside, so you'll be running straight back over this. And then from here, obviously, just follow us all the way to turn 1. And with that, that is a quick lap around Magny-Cours this week.